Hi, everybody. So the coronation of King Charles and Queen Camilla is just around the corner. And there's so much excitement right now at Buckingham Palace and in the UK, especially in London. Everybody is just getting super, super excited about it. And let's not forget that not only is King Charles going to be crowned, but Queen Camilla. We know her as Queen Consort, but according to the invitations, she is Queen Camilla, and officially she will be known as Queen Camilla. She will be crowned. And so I thought it would be appropriate tonight, going on a little bit early, to discuss whether or not we think that Queen Camilla will be a good queen or a bad queen. You know, I mean, according to Prince Harry, she's the equivalent of the evil, stepmother in Cinderella. So, but will she be a good queen or a bad queen? Has she been a good queen or a bad queen? And we're going to kind of talk a little bit about Charles and Camilla's relationship and just really about what this means for the future of the monarchy and what we think about her. And for those of you who don't know much about her, I'm going to share a couple of articles and a couple of details regarding Camilla, who she is, how they got started. And then I really love, my favorite thing about these lives is to hear from you. Where are you guys from? What do you think? Hi, Judith. Hi, Vicky. Hi, Stephen. I'm glad you guys are coming in. I'm in a new place in Florida here. Really excited to talk about this. I've been really thinking a lot about Princess Diana and Camilla. Of course, Camilla, they had to work so hard to get people to accept her at all. Hi, Stephen. Great to see you. Yes. How did that change the queen's name by order of the king? The late queen said consort. Yeah, so she's queen because, well, technically, I think officially will be when she's crowned, but the queen consort is is also referred to as the queen. So what type of queen? She is a queen consort. She will always be that. She will not have that authority and that power that a regular queen regnant would have, like Queen Elizabeth, but she is going to be the queen, much to some people's despair, disdain, and freak out. And others are like, I think she's amazing. So we're going to talk about that. I am Deanna from Hot for History. Please do subscribe. Share this with your friends. I want to hear from all sides, whether you love her, hate her, whatever the deal is. I want to hear it all. And we're going to get into it right now. And because all the buzz, by the way, nobody really even knows what she's wearing. I just posted a video short of Bruce Oldfield, who's designing her dress. We don't even know what the dress looks like, but it's going to be something spectacular. Her rank is, yeah, exactly. It doesn't really change. She is the queen consort. It's just that they call her queen. So she is the same as, and then that Lee is controversial even as her taking that queen consort title, because some people, the rumor is, I think of it on Anderson, was his name, Chris Anderson, on his book, he said that the reason why the Queen Elizabeth, relented from calling her princess consort, like Prince Philip, was because of some quid pro quo deal with Charles. It seems unlikely to me, but this is what they said regarding Andrew and them needing to pay $12 million. Somebody here said the Queen had plenty of money. She could have just taken it out of her own money. She didn't need Charles' approval. So we don't really know. But there's a rumor, so many rumors, by the way, about everything, that the reason she's called queen is that Queen Elizabeth had to relent. Okay, so it depends on if you still have the same integrity, whether or not she'll be a good queen or a bad queen. Here's the thing about Camilla. If we really talk about the time she's been with the king, she's been with him, since the 70s. Then she got married. We're going to talk about that in a second. And then, of course, they got married in 2005. She was divorced in 1995. He was divorced in 1996. The press was I think she moved into Clarence house with him in 1999. Wait, I meant 1995, 1996. That's what I meant. And then 1999, she moved in with him. And by 2005, they were married. So she's been with him a long time. And we'll talk about that. I kind of agree with this, Lainey. I feel like it's such a huge task to try to fit into Queen Elizabeth's shoes. She was in that position for 70 years. It was easy. She had a lot of poise. And yes, all queen consorts are referred to as queen. Okay, so I know it's not kind, but I can't forgive her. Well, I'm glad you're saying that, because for what she did to Diana's marriage, it was evil for her to continue with Charles. I'm glad you brought it up, because a lot of us feel the same way. A lot of us are thinking that, and it's hard. It's really hard. And I can't imagine what it's like for Harry and Will, but I'm doing a short video tomorrow about this conversation with William. This is not part of what we were, any interviews or articles we're going to go through tonight, but apparently when Diana was, it took 4 years for them to negotiate the divorce. 4 years, from 1992 to 1996. And one of the big things was Diana's title. She wanted to maintain the HRH status because she was going to be the mother of the future king. And Elizabeth II was all about that. She said, I think that that's reasonable, but Charles was adamant. And part of the divorce, so she was devastated when she finally had to relent to taking away her Royal Highness, aspect of her title, even though she got to keep the Princess of Wales. And according to, I think it was Paul Burrell, he said that William at the time was 14, trying to console and calm down his mother, who was so distraught by this aspect of having to basically, continue to bow and be kind of brought down from the honor of being the mother of the king. He said, don't worry, mommy, I will give you back your HRH title when I'm the king. Well, of course, that never happened. So many people are saying maybe William will do that at that point. So Bonnie, your comment, that's a long way for me to say that, but I think a lot of us feel that way. It's hard, even when we're trying, because Camilla's done a lot of good things too. But you think back, I mean, people can change, but you think of the journey from them getting here. It seemed in some ways, in my opinion, like a whole scheme. It seems like, she was there at the wedding. It just seems like it was manipulated and planned. You go have your time with the virginal new princess, because I couldn't marry you because I wasn't pure or whatever. But she may not have even wanted to have married him at the time. So there's a lot we don't know. So I'm going to read this to you, and then we'll get into, let me go through a few more comments, and then I'm going to read that to you. Okay. In the same way that the late queen's mom was queen consort, the late queen's mom, yeah, she was queen consort, and then she ended up being queen mother after that, so once her child became, but that is absolutely true, Judith. We call them that. People get so mad at me when I say the queen, and I'll say it's hard sometimes when it comes out, because I don't, I think Queen Elizabeth, but the truth is that she is queen. Okay. Thank you, Stephen. And I could swear it was my formal styling from consort to queen. I'll check. Important point, as it shows a true going. Yeah. I'll never refer to her as queen. And then that's the other thing. I think this comment also expresses what so many of us feel. And there's actually a whole thing going on, not my king, because there's so much drama regarding Scotland. I could do a whole thing on Scotland and even Wales, regarding the people in England who don't really like this whole monarchy setup, right? And so, but that's one thing. But I think what you're saying is it's hard to call her queen when we kind of aren't feeling that. And that's the other thing. I feel like she could do so much work, do all of this stuff, but there's an aspect of the brilliance of who Diana was and at the time that she was. And granted, she wasn't perfect. We know she had affairs. We know that she had her eating disorder. We know that she was, but she had charm. She was able to, she was gorgeous, able to run the media. She was so relatable, like everybody related to her, and she was compassionate. So I feel like Camilla, no matter what she would do, she's going to have that shadow over her. It doesn't matter how much press she gets. It's just going to be there for a lot of people. So whether she's a good queen or bad queen, it's, somebody's opinion. I'm sure she's going to do fine, but will it, there's a good queen. And then there's this exceptional aspect. I think Diana lived a spectacular, dynamic life. I don't think they ever thought she was going to push back. I think they thought they were getting this little docile, cute, beautiful side chick for the king who could bring the heir and the spare and would be quiet. And then eventually they could do whatever the heck they want. He could have his mistress. I don't know. But I feel like it's hard for Camilla, even let's say we give her the benefit of the doubt and they were just in love and they just wanted to make it work. Okay. So I don't know. And EH Bunny, one of my online friends, Camilla is a conniving and controlling woman. King Charles is paying for her daughter's security, but not Prince Archie's and Prince. Yeah, that's awful. Charles is also giving Lisa Lopez a trust. So this is the thing we forget sometimes, like even going back to what Charles did with Diana. No, I'm sorry. I mean, and I honestly don't even think that her divorce settlement was that generous. Some people were like, oh my gosh, she got so much money, 300,000 a year. And then I don't know how much millions. I don't even think it was that great. But for him to be adamant about the HRH status, and then we talk a lot on here about how annoying Harry and Meghan are, and they are, right? But we don't put as much emphasis on the insanity and the weird logic, like, of the king. Like, there are times when he does things that are so weird. And so, yeah, I mean, if anybody would need security, it would be probably Archie and Lilibet. At the same time, they're not in America. I mean, they're not in England, so it's complicated. But you bring up the hypocrisy. Her goal was to be queen. Yeah, I mean, it seems that way. I think it's unfair to expect Charles to step into Queen Elizabeth's shoes. True. She was very young when she came into the throne and had a very long reign. Yeah, it's impossible for him to have that, but at some level of respect. I think it's really hard, and I think it's just going to be different, and people do not accept change very easily. And so you're right. She would not take the Princess of Wales. Yes, I do know what happened was they didn't want, even though technically Camilla was the Princess of Wales because she was Prince Charles's wife, she would not officially take the title or be called that because of sort of, let's say, the phantom influence of Diana. That's true. Charles. Yes. She had a lot of class. I think this is a whole other subject. I predict this will be the last UK coronation. People are losing interest in them. They can no longer justify paying the royals for ribbon cuttings. So I watched a video on, I don't know, it was probably here. It was like a short video from a guy who called himself a Republican, meaning, they want the Republic. I mean, in the UK, it's different than in America. So he's a Scottish Republican, right? And he was like, listen, they are spending, like, he just got $200 and something million, $100 million in inheritance. He's not paying the inheritance tax. Now the taxpayers are paying $100 million on, this and that. And then you think about like all of the stuff that is questionable, maybe stolen or acquired illegally in some ways. So a lot of people have had it. And I do think, even though the polls show that people still favor the monarchy, it's dwindling. So you might be right. Okay, I am going to read this. Okay, so on Saturday, King Charles will have this big party to formally usher in his reign as the King of the United Kingdom. In official terms, this event is known as the coronation. We can pass that. Camilla's involvement in the royal family is not without controversy. Princess Diana was famously said there were three of us in the marriage, referring to Charles and Camilla's infamous affair, which ultimately ended Charles and Diana's admittedly already unhappy, and I'm going to say unfaithful marriage. Camilla and Charles got married in 2005, and she largely won over affections of the British public. Is that a true statement? Do you think she largely won the affections of the British public? I think she did quite a bit, because they started their media campaign for Camilla in 1999. But I don't know if it's largely. I don't know if I would agree to that. Here's what to know. Charles and Camilla were long time friends. Now, this article is interesting. She says Camilla may not have been interested in marrying Charles. In 1973, she had married a lieutenant, but she did make this comment that I think is absolutely true. Where did it go? Okay. Oh, the royal family didn't think she was a suitable wife, even though Charles wanted to marry her, thanks to the fact that she had a few ex-boyfriends and therefore probably was not a virgin. Just saying. I mean, I think that's true. I think probably if they would have gotten rid of that, I don't know if it's an official clause, that clause, maybe all of this drama wouldn't have happened, right? So Charles and Diana finalized their divorce in 1996, and we know that that was just a year after Camilla. This is all what's suspect to me. So Camilla gets divorced in 95. Charles gets divorced in 96. Although Charles's divorce proceedings started in 92, and I don't know when Camilla's divorce proceedings starting, whether it was the same time. And then, of course, they had the tampon gate thing where they're caught like saying, really, like, are you in junior high? That type of stuff. And then there needed to be legal approval. Given the monarchy's close ties with the Church of England, divorce and remarriage are not looked upon kindly in the royal family. Elizabeth's uncle, Elizabeth VIII, gave up his throne to her father because the British government wouldn't let him marry a divorced woman and remain king. I mean, this could have gone south so fast. Like it really could have. You know, I'm marrying a I mean, I can't imagine kind of like the queen's thought process. Like, wait, you're marrying a divorced woman. How is this going to work when you become king? Although now your wife is dead, so maybe people will understand. I don't understand. So even so, Elizabeth, British Parliament, and Church of England had all consented to the marriage, which helped minimize the public backlash. Another thing that may have helped because the Princess of Wales title was so strongly, I already mentioned that, associated to Diana. Camilla opted not to use it. Okay, so I'm going to take some comments and then I'm going to talk about, so now that she's queen, what happens? Did you see the video of Camilla feigning interest in it? No, I did not. Oh, wait, I think I did. And then she wouldn't touch him. Unbelievable. I think Charles and Diana were in a better place at the time of her death. I do. I thought so too. I thought there was some reconciliation. Honestly, I thought in some ways, had they just worked on it, it could have worked. But again, I don't know. I think he couldn't, here's the thing. One of you, maybe it was you, Lee, that mentioned, like, literally, had they not had the interference with, okay, it's okay for kings to have mistresses, that type of thing, like, oh, let's just continue with this. Maybe she wouldn't have gone off. Maybe he wouldn't have gone off. And maybe they could have figured it out. I don't know. Okay, Arthur Edwards said today that Camilla has never lost her common touch. When people know her, they like her a great deal. Diana was unstable. Camilla is steady. She's perfect for Charles. Yeah, I mean, these are things that we need to know. Like, we need to know more of this. And I think the people of the UK probably do know it better than we do. And I think that's true too. I know that I sound like I play ping pong with my beliefs and thoughts, but I'm just one of these people that probably should have been a lawyer. I would literally can kind of see all of these sides. I do see that they're compatible, and I do see that, in my opinion, they should have just let them get married in the first place. But who knows if she wanted to? Like, he went off, right? And then she ends up getting married. I don't know what it was like in 1973. I do not. So let me see what Stephen says. I read all about how Camilla's ex seems almost complacent all along during the affair. Like, he was like, okay, whatever. Yeah. He just seemed like he was all about it. Okay. Apparently Diana said that Camilla didn't ruin the marriage. It was everyone else around them. Oh, that's interesting. That is very interesting. So, okay. So the spouses of British monarchs are typically deemed consorts, for those of you who still are confused. And And it looks like Camilla will be no exception. In February 2022, Elizabeth confirmed in a special announcement that Charles would inherit the throne after her death. Well, we kind of knew that. And said it was her sincere wish that when the time comes, Camilla will be known as Queen Consort as she continues her own loyal service. This was a change from the previous plan, which called her Princess Consort instead of Queen Consort, given the controversy around their marriage. A few royal biographers recently, here we go, claimed Prince William and Prince Harry have both objected to the idea of Camilla becoming Queen Consort, with one saying they were blindsided by the 2022 announcement. Unsurprisingly, Harry is not a fan of Camilla and has accused her of leaking private. I find it funny when I hear that Harry is criticizing other people for leaking things, because I think he's a leaker too. Leaking private conversations to the press in exchange for positive coverage. On the coronation invites, it already calls her Queen Camilla. Once she officially takes the position, Camilla won't have any formal duties, but is expected to make public appearances alongside Charles. I think she has her own like office too. I don't know. Per the Mirror, the consort's main job is to provide support and companionship to the monarch. They seem like they really are good with that. In the past, consorts have served as glorified assistants of sorts, hosting events, going to charity galas, representing the monarchy. Camilla is apparently a patron of over 90 charities. She sounds busy, so she has plenty of practice there. The line of and that is something for us to remember. She has been kind of, like working as the prince's wife. The line of succession follows the blood. So in other words, people have asked, okay, well, what if the king dies? Does she become queen? No, that would go to William. They do say that it is complicated because when William's the king, it won't be like, okay, she's the queen mother now. I don't think that would be the case. And as I mentioned before, William probably wouldn't want that to happen. Camilla is already the queen. Camilla's aide was fired after making racist comments to a visitor. She demanded, oh yeah, I remember that one. I remember that. She was sort of like, where are you from? Where are you from? Where are you from? The woman's like, I'm from England. She's like, no, but where are you really from? That's what she kept saying. Okay, so we're going to look on a little bit more whether she will be a good queen or bad queen. I mean, I think she totally has the experience, obviously. She's been around a while. It's also too early to judge whether, yes, it is too early. And I don't know, what does that, I asked the question just as a way for us to have the conversation, but what do we really mean a good, because that's a matter of judgment based on who's paying attention, right? I don't see Camilla doing anything drastic. They're both in their 70s. Like, what's she going to do? She's not histrionic. Like, I think Meghan's a little bit like that. I think that she understands the assignment. I like to say that, in being on Charles's side, she probably keeps him straight and laughing and but clear. And they have a long history. So I don't know. Is a decision maker for 90 charities. She's just the celebrity face and the ribbon cutter of the charities, probably. Did you see? Okay, let's see. Did we see online edition of Services Coronation or the copy of the official book of the court? Good info if you will be watching. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to do a video on that too, Stephen. Lady Susan Hussey asked, where are you from? Because Ngozi was in full African tribal regalia. I did not know that. Giving the old lady a break. I will say that as a woman who has kids from 3 different countries, Ethiopia, Ukraine, and Guatemala, well, 4, counting America, we get that question all the time because some of them have, like my oldest daughter, Grace, she's 25 now. Yeah, but when we adopted her, she was 9 and she still has an Ethiopian accent. So people ask her all the time, like some kids immediately lose an accent. It's very interesting. Language is interesting, but people ask them all the time. I don't think they're offended. I will tell you one interesting experience I had when I first adopted them. There was an African-American woman who totally got in my face for calling them Ethiopian. And they were 5, 6, and 9, rather than just calling them African-American. But if you know about national pride in certain African countries, like my kids to this day they know they're African-American too. but they would prefer to be called Ethiopian. That is their national identity. That's how they identify. And even at 5, 6, and 9, that's what they wanted to be called, Ethiopian, clear as day. And so there's this confusion as far as communication, and some of it's preference for each individual, you know? Okay, so she will be dowager queen, widow of the deceased queen. Yeah. But sometimes, Brian, they're that, and they would be the queen mother. Like sometimes they have like a few different titles, a couple, well, like 2. But she would only be dowager queen, like you mentioned. Yes, and Lady Susan also had to ask 3 times before she even said Hackney. She's designer of African prints. She's in the UK. She's a UK citizen, and I think she's lived there like pretty much all of her life. Not that that's relevant. The UK is very mixed. Like it has people from all different nations. So that's the one thing that tripped me up is like I feel in some ways London feels more diverse than a lot of places in America. I'm just saying. So yeah. Yes, I didn't adopt. No, my kids were 5, 6, and 9 from Ethiopia. My daughter Matea, she was a baby, and my son Alec from Ukraine. Unbelievable story. Knowing what's going on from Ukraine, he was 5 at the time. Okay, so let me read this. So yes, she will be considered the queen and the queen dowager, as Brian said, if and when he passes. Well, and honestly, I mean, he's getting up there, but you know what? His family has a great legacy of long life. And they really, really do. So to give Camilla some credit, here's a little bit of her history. She was born as Camilla Shand in July of 1947. She was brought up in the English countryside where she developed a passion for horses. That's what her and Charles had in common. And she constantly met him at polo matches in Windsor in 1970. To give you perspective, in 1970, Diana would have been like 9 years old. And they became friends. The following year, Charles joined the Navy, and while he was away, Camilla married. Maybe they didn't talk about it. She married cavalry officer Andrew Parker Bowles. The couple had 2 children during the 1970s, who some people, again, there's so many rumors, and EH just said, hey, you know, like there's going to be a trust for Lopez, for the daughter of Camilla. And some people are like, well, that's because, you know, they're really Charles's kids. You know, I'm sure it's not true, but I'm just saying. My biggest hope in this whole King Charles is that he has a reign of maybe to 75. So many people want William to be the king. And obviously, I mean, I wouldn't want Charles to die prematurely. I think what many people are saying here, though, Stephen, is listen, what we haven't discussed much, we've only touched the tip of this, is the vulnerability of the monarchy right now. It's very vulnerable, not just because of Harry and Meghan calling out all the stuff, and the shift. I mean, I don't know. It's very vulnerable. And I don't know. I think the only way we would probably see another monarchy would be if it was soon, because with William, I don't know. I'm a little bit concerned about what's going to be for the future. Of course, as an American, I'm not. Oh, that's a whole other thing. I'm just going to put this out there while I'm reading, and then I'll read your comments. Did you see that you have to make an allegiance? You don't have to, but they're saying make an allegiance, say your allegiance, like I pledge allegiance to the flag. But in America, we don't have to. But they're saying, you know, thousands of people, we want you to say your allegiance to the king. How do you feel about that? Chew on that and comment on that while I'm reading a little bit more. Okay, so Charles married Diana in 1981. He admitted in 1994 that he had been having an extramarital affair with Camilla. I want to know, like, when that started. Was it 1986? Like, while they were already married for 5 years? Were they concurrently having an affair even before they got married? I don't know. Some of you guys know. And so this is what I rely on you for. Diana confirmed his infidelity in her own following year, probably in 1995. That's when she had her interview. There were 3 of us in the marriage. Camilla divorced, as we said, in 95. The pro-Diana, anti-Camilla sentiment was compounded by the outpouring of sympathy for her death. Absolutely. It sort of made her into this unbelievable icon, even more so than when she was alive, I think. In 1999, Clarence House embarked on a program to reintroduce Camilla to the public. Remember, they were not married at the time, but they were like living together. They're living together, but not together. They have like a couple different houses. And apparently there's like 3 bedrooms in Clarence House, one for each of them and one for booty calls. I'm just saying, one for evening calls. That can't be true. I think that they sleep in separate bedrooms. Where they end up, I don't know. I don't need to think so much. Okay, so I didn't need to go off like that. Let's read the comments because they're more interesting than the article. Why do you ask? Google it and find out for yourself. Okay. Camilla's grandmother. Okay. It was Camilla's great grandmother was a royal mistress, and Charles's great grandfather, Edward. So there's rumors that Camilla is actually half, like, second cousin of Charles's, because they're saying that Alice Keppel, her daughter Sonia, guys, correct me if I'm wrong, Sonia was actually, but now they said it could have been her other daughter, Violet, so I don't know, was actually the child of Edward, because Edward the Seventh, he had like 14 illegitimate kids. So it's possible that even though they say that Camilla and Charles are, distantly related, that they're actually closer related than you think. And some people are like, well, maybe that's the reason why they didn't want them to get married, because it was like too close. But that never stopped them before. Never stopped them before. Seriously, doesn't matter. They have no power. They do not. They don't really. They don't. What is the power? They don't have the power over Parliament, but every now and then they'll go to the king to get approval. Okay, Stone Destiny. Okay, so anyhow, 6 years later, their decades-long love story reached its climax when they were wed at Windsor in 2005. Now, Queen Elizabeth II's consent, with the consent, and Camilla became Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Cornwall, but Queen Elizabeth did not want to be there. She's like, I'm not going to be there. I'll come to the reception. The Duchess threw herself into life as a senior royal. This is what we're reading. See, when I hear these kind of phrases, I'm very positive. These are like, I don't know, sound bites that are given to the public, but whatever. The Duchess threw herself into the life as a senior royal, supporting Charles on official engagements in the UK and on overseas tours, despite her deep fear of flying. With her common touch and ability to dissipate the tension in a room, she does seem like that. Honestly, she does seem like the kind of woman you can just hang out with. Like, that's how I feel about Camilla, that I could definitely have coffee, and I feel like I wouldn't have to feel so, I don't think I would have to think that I was all prim and proper all the time. I feel like if I was hanging out with her and I made a, royal mistake, it would be fine. And so ahead of the coronation, Camilla's son touched upon the way the relationship between his mother and stepfather, King Charles, developed. I don't care what anyone says. This wasn't any sort of end game. Okay, well, that's what he's saying. It sort of just happened. She married the person she loved, and this is what happened. And so he's saying that she didn't plan on being queen. It just kind of fell into her lap. Although I heard otherwise. Okay, let's read some comments. The Archbishop. Okay, so I guess they are influencers, so there's power. My statement makes more sense than saying her. Okay, we're talking about the clothing. I don't know. I'm not sure about Ngozis. I thought she was some kind of designer and had a nonprofit. Okay, 5 unexpected secrets. But here, hey, I do have another question. I know I asked you guys this other question, but do you think Harry is being fair in his book about Camilla? Because apparently Camilla is still really, really ticked off at Harry. Really ticked off. This is the rumor. They're like, like, yeah, they don't. So, do you think Harry was fair about that? I'm pretty sure, I don't think he is. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm just passing through. Basically, I'm gonna skip this one, sorry. I don't think I have all the details regarding this. I do know she was using an Oldfield dress, and then she's wearing a crown that doesn't have the Kohiner, that has the Cullinan. Trump apparently was making comments, which I think is comical, about why like the king shouldn't have even invited his kids. So, but he said Camilla would be a great queen. There is a rehearsal going on apparently in the middle of the night. And apparently it was really fun and really beautiful. Stephen, I will get to the schedule on another video, and I'm going to try to amp up the videos. Okay. With just, by the way, for those of you in America, we have to watch it between like 5 a.m. and 10 a.m. Eastern time. So if you're on the West Coast, God bless you. Just make it a long night. So they had their rehearsal. Now, Princess Anne and the Queen Consort Camilla were there at the rehearsal to greet the Dean of Westminster and other church officials before they went inside. The royals were also joined by Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. It comes after thousands of personnel from the Army, Royal Navy, and Air Force marched to Buckingham Palace to the Abbey in the early hours of this morning as they practiced for the big day. Apparently, as far as the procession, it's going to be massive. And Princess Anne said, I don't know about the slimming down of the monarchy. I feel like we need more because I'm working too hard. She doesn't sound like that whole slimming down of the monarchy is something that they're all about. Royal fans waited for more than 3 hours for the parade to make a return down the mall. That was regarding the Jubilee. Commuters heading home from London Waterloo were treated to extraordinary scenes as they saw 6,000 soldiers. So, I don't know. It's expected to be like a big deal. They're all going to be, involved. Okay. So let me move on. Okay, these are some of the pictures. I really was planning on going, and then it dawned on me, I'm just going to go after. I'm going to try to get there like in the next month or so because I have other things to see. Lionel Richie has arrived with his significant other. He's going to be performing. He looks like he's having a great time on the right there with the king, hanging out, laughing. The concert's going to be so fun. Okay, and people are camping out, as I said. And then this is William and Louis. I really hope that Louis has something fun to do. And then here's some of the paraphernalia, which is going to be with the Union Jack stuff. And that's what I've got. Okay, so any more comments? I saw the rehearsal. I love the parade with horses. It's going to be huge. It's going to be huge. It really is, because there's apparently it's like all of the military is involved, and they talk about scaling this down. I don't think it's really going to be that scaled down. I think it's going to be pretty major, pretty awesome. Okay, guys, I know that I had the title Good or Bad Queen. I think that all remains to be seen, but I don't think we're going to have any surprises with Camilla. I feel like we know her well. I feel like as much as people still have sort of that phantom concept of Diana, we just have to accept that it was not meant to be. And I don't know. I think she'll be a good queen. I don't know if she'll be a great queen. But again, I mean, Queen Elizabeth was great, but she was great in the nuanced poise that she had. And I don't know if we know Camilla enough. I don't know if we really, really know her. She's not the monarch. I'm sorry, let me read this. The late queen said it should be her title, as many wanted just her to be the princess consort. Couldn't be queen until Elizabeth died. So, I mean, she could have been princess, but Charles, I feel like Charles had so much favor with his mother, like almost anything he asked for. I don't know if I can think of anything that, except for marrying Camilla in the first place, that he was denied. He sounded like, at least near the end, he was like the boss in many ways already. So I don't know. That's what I think. I could be wrong, but that's how it seemed. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it is confusing as far as like where to go, I know that Sky News will be on here on YouTube. And then I know that you'll be able to see probably some things, but I don't think you'll see a lot on mainstream media, unfortunately. But quite frankly, these days, everybody's getting their news and info in other places. That's probably why everybody's getting it online. So while I want to get up early, we don't have to. We could always watch after. I will come back on here, guys, probably tomorrow with the schedule. We're getting close to the coronation. And then it's going to be interesting to see what happens after. There's also rumors that if Harry does not, if anybody kind of spills the beans on how Harry is getting there, that he will still not come. There's that drama. I wonder what oh yeah. Well, I think Brian said it's Dowager Queen. Dowager Queen. Yeah. It's out of envy. Okay. It's out of envy that he's now insignificant after William has heirs. Yeah. Because Harry kept going down in the line of succession for sure. So okay, do you hear me now? Sorry. I bumped this thing and I got unplugged. I mean, I've been thinking a lot about Harry and it still bothers me. This whole thing is complicated. Again, I never started my channel to think I was going to get into the royal thing. And then the queen died and I had already been doing some royal content. I'm fascinated by this because it is real life history that we are watching. And yeah, Charles could pass away. I made a video. It was a humorous video about his fingers. His fingers are huge, but he says that that's just how it is. I'm sorry. I'm not accepting that. You can't just constantly have extremely swollen fingers without there being some kind of circulation problem. And Queen Victoria had her ring she had to have it cut off and she was little. She was 19 years old at the time. I'm concerned about Charles, like I am, like with his health and the swelling. He loves his beer. I love that about him. But I don't know. It just seems like the finger swelling worries me. So I'd like him to live longer. But I don't know. We talk about this stuff because we don't know what's happening we don't know what's happening, honestly, with the monarchy. And people have it's a really logical argument as why not to have it. And it's a logical argument as to why to have it. Financially, it seems like a burden in many ways for these countries like Scotland, Wales, like they're all, and even Ireland, like they're all saying, hey, let's rethink this thing a second. And it's getting intense. We're going to see some not my king stuff. They'll probably try to keep it off of camera, try to make everything look fun and festive. And it probably will be really fun and festive. But I mean, the royal family is sort of like America's Disney World. It's like their commercial draw, right? But it's getting to the point where people are like, look, we don't live in medieval times. We don't need a king. So we're going to watch this. And it's history really evolving in front of our eyes. And so anyhow, I want to thank you guys. I'm going to head off in a second. I think we are good to go. I will talk to you guys later. Be looking for this. Hot for History. Please do subscribe and share with your friends. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.